So what if the next massive economic theory didn't come out of some stuffy university office, but was actually just stumbled upon by one guy in a 70,000 character chat with his AI? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're looking at this incredible article out of Japan that tracks this exact journey, a personal project that ended up redefining the very idea of what value even means. And this really gets to the heart of it, not just for the author, but for you, for me, for all of us, right? I mean, when an AI can pump out an infinite number of articles, images, songs, you name it, what makes your ideas, your work, your contribution valuable anymore? That's the huge question we're tackling in this explainer.
All right, so to figure out the answer, we've got to first get a handle on the problem. And the problem is the old rules are just completely breaking down. The entire system that's powered the internet for like 20 years, what we call the attention economy, it's pretty much on the brink of collapse.
I know, that sounds super dramatic, but it's the simple, cold, hard economic truth we're all facing. The very currency that the internet has run on for decades, your click, your view, your like, it's all losing its value, fast. And the reason for it is actually pretty simple.
So here's the thing. It really just comes down to basic supply and demand. AI can create a practically infinite supply of content that's all designed to do one thing: grab your eyeballs. And that is causing a kind of hyperinflation. When you can generate endless page views and likes, well, they just stop meaning anything. There's no way for a human creator to compete on sheer volume, and the whole system is just running on fumes.
So, if our attention isn't the measure of wealth anymore, then what is? This is where our author, Marc Masahiro HIRAYAMA, through this incredibly deep dialogue with his AI partner, Gemini, just stumbles onto this totally radical new idea. He gives it a name, Shin Koku-Fu-Ron.
Shin Koku-Fu-Ron translates to a new wealth of nations. And yeah, that's a direct shout-out to Adam Smith's classic book on economics. But this is the updated version for our age. The big idea here is that true wealth, for you or even for a whole country, it's no longer about how much attention you can grab. Instead, it's the total sum of your high-quality, unique, and structured intellectual products. In other words, the stuff you create that is so good, it can actually be used to teach an AI.
And this isn't just some abstract theory. Hirayama has been living this. And get this number, over 2.3 million. That's the character count of his own personal dialogue logs with his AI. Now, in the old world, that's just a conversation. In this new framework, that is a tangible asset. That's a mountain of top-tier learning data. That is the new wealth.
The author actually describes this whole realization as a bolt from the blue. It wasn't some idea he set out to prove, no. It was a discovery that just popped out of the process itself. That sudden, shocking aha moment where he realized that the record of his thinking process was the valuable product.
Okay, so how do you actually create this new kind of wealth? Well, that brings us to the second major discovery, a whole new way of producing things. And to explain it, Hirayama once again goes back to Adam Smith, this time to his famous analogy about the pin factory.
The parallel here is just so cool. Back in the 18th century, Adam Smith noticed how breaking down the physical job of making one tiny pin into a bunch of simple tasks led to this huge explosion in productivity. Hirayama's arguing that we're at that same kind of moment right now, but for intellectual work. He calls this new model an intellectual pin factory, where the actual process of thinking gets divided up between a human and an AI. So how does this division of labor actually work? Well, think of it like this. The AI takes care of all the routine brain work. Remembering stuff, searching for information, summarizing it, analyzing data. And that frees up the human to focus on what we really do best, the creative thinking, like asking the right questions, connecting dots no one else sees, and using our ethical judgment.
But here's where it gets really clever. There's this awesome little detail hidden in the Japanese term the author uses, chiteki bunguyo. That word, bun, has this great double meaning. It can mean to divide, like in a division of labor, but it's also the root of the word to understand. And the implication there is just profound. It's saying that a real partnership isn't just about splitting up a to-do list. It's about a deep, mutual understanding between the human and the AI.
Okay, so you've created this new form of wealth. You've got this new production model. But how is it valued? I mean, who decides what's actually good? And here again, we see this modern twist on another one of Adam Smith's big ideas, the invisible hand.
And this isn't just a wild theory either. It's actually being put to the test right now, in the real world. A huge Japanese content platform called Note teamed up with Google for a contest, and they're rewarding creators based on how they use AI. This timeline shows that the judging is happening as we speak, putting these very ideas into practice.
See, the old invisible hand was the market, right? It decided what was valuable based on popularity and sales. But the new invisible hand is the algorithm. Systems like Google's AI Overview or that contest on Note, they're starting to judge content not on how popular it is, but on its quality, its uniqueness, and, this is the key part, its value as learning data for other AIs. The very definition of value is literally being rewritten in code.
So let's just pull back for a second and look at the big picture here. Because what started as one person's private project, that bolt from the blue, unexpectedly scales up to have these massive strategic implications, even for an entire nation.
Hirayama argues that his project and others like it actually represent 3 different kinds of national value. First, it's like a new natural resource. That's the high-quality data to train a country's future AIs. Second, the intellectual pin factory is a new way to work that could boost national productivity. And third, it gives us a blueprint for what a skilled, AI-savvy citizen looks like, which every country is going to need.
I love this part, though. Even as he's talking about these grand national-level strategies, the author calls his own work a Don Quixote-like march. It's just this wonderfully humble reminder that this entire potentially world-changing theory started with one person, one AI, and a whole lot of curiosity, kind of like a lone knight charging at the windmills of the future.
And that brings everything full circle, right back to you. If the old ways of measuring value are fading away and the new measures are all about quality, uniqueness, and how well you can teach an AI, we're left with this one last thought. An AI can copy a style. It can copy facts, it can copy a formula, but what's the one thing about you, your unique experiences, your weird hobbies, your personal way of seeing the world that it can never ever replicate? Because in this new economy, that might just be the most valuable thing you have.